Exactly, and it all starts today, and we just had our first series. Now we follow our players into the second one. Cell just took down his first Terran. Now he's up against the second.
That he is, and quite a bit of a more different Terran as well.
Exactly. You could argue maybe a stronger Terran. I don't know if we're going to see a proxy like that again.
Yeah, let's just say there's a reason why he was seeded to the next round directly. Because we didn't have an even number of players. But regardless, we are going to be kicking off this TVZ, the one match we have before the qualifying match, if my math checks out. Here on Lightshade, LE, we're in the top left-hand corner map, swinging all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the red Zerg player coming down from the land of Taiwan. He is going to be representing himself, but I believe also Africa TV Taiwan. He is Cell.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Taiwanese Terran. A different Taiwanese Terran representing Clan Rush. It is Naxin. Or Nazin? Or...
Naxin.
Naxin. That's...
I don't know what the... Oh god, what is it called? I'm trying to remember my, primary 2 Mandarin, where there are, like, accents above the vowels.
I couldn't. I'm not a native speaker of said language, so I couldn't tell you.
You think I am?
Look, you're closer than me, okay?
I'm just forced to learn it.
You forced to learn that and you failed, mate. You failed. Oh boy. Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, Dios mío. Now my Spanish is better.
This is a very peculiar opening, by the way, by Naxin. Do you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, Reaperless, Marineless even.
Yeah.
Straight into the reactor?
Mate, this is so greedy. Like, if there was like a 12 pool coming, he'd be dead. He didn't even SCV scout to make up for it. Like, wow.
He is really rolling the dice here, but he's making up for it, I guess, with that double marine production. I'm so curious as to what he gets out from his factory. If he's going to swap the add-ons around? But he's already making the Marines.
Yeah, he is already making the Marines. I mean, you can't just not make units as much as he would want to try, just because of how delayed this is. So for people who are watching right now and wondering why are we focusing so much on this? So typically we see a Reaper first because the Reaper does a lot scouting wise. It's safe and secure, you know, in case your opponent is doing anything off of 2 bases or anything crazy early on. You can be annoying, you can pick off a creep tumor, a drone, delay the third. But Naxin gave up on all of that. He doesn't care what his opponent's doing.
Not only did he give up on all of that, when the Terra player skips a Reaper, it's usually because they want to save that gas to maybe get an earlier factory, maybe go for a bit of a proxy starport or something along those lines. But he said, no, I'm still going to spend the same amount of gas just on a reactor instead.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And skip out on my safety marine.
Yeah, so if it was a pool first opening, not even just a 12 pool, but if it was a straight up pool first, then he wouldn't have had anything to save his natural. It would have been delayed. It probably would have been denied as well. But yeah, so far, I mean, he's gotten away with it. Now he's going across the map with his aliens.
Yeah, the sheer cojones on us in here.
It's crazy, mate.
And he is being a little bit annoying with the Hellion here, fulfilling a bit of a role that Reapers traditionally fill. But I do like that he's also setting up for a bit of a Hellion drop.
Yeah, that he is. Ooh, interesting. Snowling came in. I think he caught a glimpse of everything. I don't know if, but it was only like for 1 second. So I don't know if he saw the medevac or not.
He might have, he might not have. This is not a Hellion drop.
Yes, it's an everything drop, mate. Oh my. Okay, so far Cell has opened up just like against Kevin Liu. Like, there are plenty of queens to defend, there are lings as well. The drop is hitting into the main base. It is spotted by the Overlord. Cell, where's the response? He does not. He didn't see it.
Oh. Yeah, one of those unfortunate moments where the Overlord sees, but the player doesn't. Very nice hot pickup here. Cell is already getting prepared with those Spore Crawlers. Not sure if he scouted the tech lab or not, but it's going to work out for him since Naxin is going for the Banshees to follow this up with.
Yeah, like speaking of greed, like Cell hasn't gone in with his Overlord. Oh my god, but the
He's gone in with slings.
yeah.
And now he confirms the Banshees.
He does. Oh my god! This game is just, it's crazy, man. The scouting, like Cell, he isn't committing anything to scout, but he's still seeing everything regardless. He's ready for it. There are queens, there are spores. No banelings though.
That there are not plenty of queens here, which do help out a ton against the Hellbats, but not when they're targeting down the Banshees. That is exactly what Naxin wanted. That medevac is starting to get very low. He needs that medevac support. The Hellbats are starting to really overwhelm the queens. He's running out of energy. Not enough lings to go for those surrounds because they're all on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the best move, to be fair. Like, he had to do something. He had to wait for the Baneliness to finish up. Finally, the Baneliness does finish. Meanwhile, he actually saved the majority of his drones, but he has to keep his things alive. Oh, no.
Yeah, they don't really last long against Hellbats. Fortunately for Naxin, he did split up his Marines from his Hellbats, but honestly, like, he's making such good use of SimCity, of Cell, making sure that those Hellbats don't get surrounded. I'm not even a Zerg player, and my heart aches.
12 drones in the blink of an eye. 0 mining happening right now for Cell. He did clean up all the Marines, though, and now the Hellbats are Hellions, so they are going to be cleaned up. That was almost a quote-unquote perfect defense. Like, Cell almost lost the bare minimum amount of units, but 12 drones right there in that last moment. That was rough.
Yeah, honestly, the idea that Cell had where he didn't go in with every single one of his lings, he set up a little bit of a bait, wait for Naxin to turn those Hellbats back into Hellions and then pounce with his lings. Again, very well thought out. Very big brain play, if you'll allow me to say, but it's unfortunate that those drones weren't pulled just a little bit sooner.
Yeah, exactly. God, so unfortunate there. Otherwise, he'd be in such a good position, to be honest. Now, he's down in workers. He is catching back up, but as a reminder, he also lost all his queens in the defense. He only has 1 right now. He has to rebuild them. He's getting a lair as well. So these Banshees are a little bit uncontested. So they do have a little bit of free reign.
Yeah, Spore Calls are annoying, but they are just so much more. You can micro around spores way easier than you can micro around queens.
Exactly. Speaking of, there are no queens in the main. So now there's no gas mining at all at the moment here in the main base. The spawning pool is under threat. Queen just now started. It's gonna take a while, mate.
Yeah, a couple of queens are slowly making their way from the lower bases. No creep to connect the natural to the main. No, Naxin! Oh no, Cell, sorry.
Mate, the spawning pool, it's gonna go down.
That hit will. Even more lost resources coming in here for Cell. And Cell, he was in a terrible position initially. He was on equal bases with the Terran player, had 0 queens versus I don't know how many mules Naxin had. Now he's basically dead in the water.
Yeah, I mean, now we have a follow-up drop. The problem is that Cell has been focusing on droning up. He does have a couple of lings on the map, but they can't really do anything across the map. There are no banelings ready. This drop may just end the game.
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure those are his only lings.
Yeah.
Cell has a baneling nest and no spawning pool.
No, he did remake it.
GG is called, and Naxin takes game number 1. What an impressive game, Light. I'm not remembering any details from the last season, Light, but I am remembering this general feeling of just confusion and also being very impressed by our players. It's coming back to me. I'm like, yeah, these are the big brain players in the region.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that, what a wild game. That was wild in so many different ways. It was really unfortunate as well. So a couple of things happened. Cell never went for an Overlord scout, so he never saw the armory. He never knew that there was a Hellbat push coming. So because of that, the Bailey Nest was later than it needed to be. He almost defended there with the bare minimum, which was what was so impressive, right? But then he didn't, and then things snowballed. There were no more queens. Just, what a game.
Yeah, couldn't have asked it to go any other way. And we may very well get a very similar game on a fairly similar map here as we load into 2000 atmospheres.
Yeah, like right now my eyes are on Naxin. Like Cell, everything that he did was for the most part pretty standard, other than, you know, not going for a certain scout. Meanwhile, Naxin, is he going to avoid that Reaper again? Like that's what I'm curious about.
Well, if you say anything like Kevin Liu, we could be seeing a couple of proxies come out.
we could.
But we are, of course, going to be continuing our series here on 2000 Atmospheres LE. And the only question I got for you, Chad, is would you like to come and take a ride with me?
We're going to get copyright strikes, mate. I don't know if we can do that. Must be the money!
Alright, I changed it enough. Yeah. That foe buddy, as we continue our series here in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner, the red Zerg player coming down from the land of Taiwan. He is our red Zerg player. They need to pull something a little bit crazy off here to balance out the craziness of his opponent. He is Cell.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have his opponent, the Madman, who just skipped the Reaper, skipped the initial safety Marines. This guy is crazy. He's a Taiwanese Terran representing Clan Rush. It is Naxin.
I'm just staring at this barracks right now, like.
What are you gonna do?
That's the only thing I'm looking at. Which button do you press after it finishes, Naxin?
Oh, okay.
He gets it!
He is sane. It's happening.
Woo.
Oh boy. Okay. So this is what I was curious about. I wanted to see if he had like a preferred style of play, or if he was a little bit more versatile. Was he going to do the same thing multiple games in this series, or does he have more to him? That's what I was curious about, and I love to see that he is going for the Reaper.
Yeah, and not just a very versatile kind of play, or not just versatile styles that Naxin has showed us here, but the Reaper as well. Very versatile unit. As you said earlier on, it is almost a cornerstone of Terran early game. It's your map presence, it's how you scout. It can be a little bit annoying as well if you get lucky, and as we saw previously in Kevin Liu versus Cell, you can utilize it as well for big main fights.
Yeah.
To keep it alive.
Yeah, Alexandros was in the chat. He was saying like, yo, I knew it. Like, have 1 or 2 Reapers like in the mid game, and it can change Ling Bane fights completely, right? And honestly, there is some truth to that. Meanwhile, this Reaper is just dipping into the natural. He confirms that there are drones here mining. Unfortunately, he is unable to delay the third base of Cell.
Yeah, I mean, he went for not so much of a gamble, but he made his choice to not check the third base locations and instead really check and see how aggressive Cell was being.
Yep, and now he checks and he confirms, you snuck out a drone earlier, that's why you got it up and running. So confirms that there is a third base. There's no 2-base shenanigans going on here. And also, I did want to touch on something as well. Like, the build that Naxin went for last game, like, worked so much better as well. Specifically because it was on Lightshade, right? Like, the rush distance is so short on that map. It feels like something that he wouldn't do on a map like this, right?
Yeah, 2000 Atmospheres snakes around a little bit. Sure, he went for that medevac drop initially, but he also had Hellions to the ground. Gotta keep that in mind.
True. Very true indeed. Meanwhile, so far, pretty standard opening here. We have a third CC. We got our 1-1-1. Something about these Taiwanese Terrans, mate. They love their Banshee openings. I'm assuming. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Seen 2 players go for it pretty consistently so far. I mean, Banshees are a very good harassment unit, especially if you're going for a, multiple Hellion on the multiple Hellion air unit kind of style. But it does require a lot more attention to micro. It's not quite as set and forget it as Liberators are.
Yeah, I appreciate it just because honestly I don't see too much of it anymore. Like I've seen, much more of like like you're aware of it, more of like a mass Hellion with like Liberator at the same time, things like that. It feels like Banshee openers kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, so it's great to see more of it here today.
Yeah, it's definitely a very risk-reward kind of composition for the harass. If you can micro correctly, you're going to get a lot more kills, and those Banshees are going to provide a lot more utility later down the line than a single Liberator is. Speaking of utility down the line, though, one of the best uses of a Banshee is to defend against roaches, which Naxin is really going to have to worry about, but he doesn't see the roaches!
He doesn't see the roaches, but he did scout the roach warren earlier, thankfully, so he's well aware of the potential. He is looking for them, and it looks like he will just barely catch one. Never mind, he goes for the links instead. The roaches are here across the map, but mate, look at how ready he is. 2 bunkers already, a 3rd on the way. No tanks, but he has the Banshees.
He doesn't even need a tank. He just needs to make sure his SCVs are pulled as efficiently as he can. Even if there were Ravagers, Naxin just has such a tight defensive setup. It's hard to see Cell getting too much damage done.
Yeah, he's forced all the way back, forced to transition, and there it is. Double Evo Chamber, Bailing Nest as well. He's switching everything into Lingbane Muta. Unfortunately, that investment into roaches didn't really do anything. Sure, you could say, they forced a bunch of bunkers. Mate, you can salvage the bunkers. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, what is it, 75% refund, something like that?
Yeah.
It's pretty dang good. So there is going to be a couple of minutes here where Cell is a lot more vulnerable. He needs to transition, and that definitely takes a lot of larva. Economically, he's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's on the work account that you want to be in the mid-game for a Zerg player, but Naxin is really... he's about to push out very, very soon.
Exactly. Like, he's active with his Hellions. The biggest danger for Cell is his Bailing speed is late, right? Because the Bailing Nest was later. So, yeah, like, that's probably the biggest deal. Meanwhile, Hellions, they come across the map. Oh, there aren't a lot of links here to defend.
That there are not! A couple of roaches are going to be enough to chase this away. Oh, that was almost game-ending damage.
Man, I kind of wanted him to commit. Because there were barely any lings. Like, now they're coming out. Sure, it would have cost him the lives of all his Hellions, but maybe he would have gotten something done. Meanwhile, he's going for the spawning pool again.
I'm getting so much PTSD here. Like, the Hellions looking to target the mineral lines, the drones, and then meanwhile the Banshees are attacking the spawning pool. I thought we were on a different map here.
I like it. He's making Cell sweat right now. He's like applying so much pressure. Meanwhile, ooh, nice catch. All the Hellions get surrounded. At the same time, the Banshees still haven't really achieved too much here. Like, there are Queens here to defend the 4th base, and this spawning pool, ooh, is still a little bit vulnerable.
It is. I don't think Naxin is as aware of that. No, he should be aware of that. He just is going for juicier targets.
Oh, yeah,
like
exactly.
His Queen, like his drones.
Yeah, and unfortunately his attention was elsewhere. He tried to hit the 3rd base and he got a couple of SCVs, but the army was pushed away. Meanwhile, these Banshees could have gone for the spawning pool. He actually hasn't seen the mutas. Oh, now we go. He has now seen the Spire.
That he has. So he's going to go into a hole. Oh, he sees the Spire, which is why he's starting down to extract it, because he knows that Cell needs gas, but yeah, that was coincidental.
I mean, despite that, like, these Banshees have dealt a surprising amount of damage. 11 drones and a couple of Queens. Yeah, and scouting. Like, damn. Oh.
Definitely very impressive. Naxin, unfortunately, only now where the muta's coming out. He should still be able to get one turret up. I said one turret up. Not quite, but the Marines are coming into position to chase these away.
Yeah, the muta's got a lot of damage there. Meanwhile, we do have a double jumper across the map. He does get a Queen, but oh, he does splits.
Yeah, the attention of both players right now is being stretched to its absolute thinnest.
Yeah, exactly.
About the mutas, I was worried about the drops.
Meanwhile, oh no, he doesn't pay attention. Loses an additional 2 mutas. That's honestly pretty huge. With only these Marines, there we go. Finally, a couple more missile turrets being thrown down. Naxin does not want to make the same mistake that Kevin Liu did.
Nobody does. But now, Naxin is going to be very safe defensively, and his army is getting bigger and bigger. He's starting to really overwhelm Cell when it comes to the army supply. +2 is still far on the way, but I mean, he's got to realize how ahead he is right now, right? How well an attack would work out for him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe he wants to wait until 2-2 finishes. Like, he is starting to amass his army, though. And as you were saying, like, this is still pretty terrifying. The creep spread, honestly, isn't that great either. Like, just because of how active those queens were forced to be earlier defending, they weren't able to spread creep freely.
That they are not immediately being annoying once again, pulling the attention of Naxin apart a little bit, and it will confirm that the army is towards the right side as these banelings start to come in. There's a wall, but there are enough banelings, and there's a pull.
Exactly, there was a wall, but no longer. The lings are streaming on in. Naxin, does he turn around? You gotta do something. He does continue forward.
No fear. Oh, that tank. Such a bit of an awkward position.
Get behind the wall, get behind the wall. Okay, he doesn't get behind the wall, instead he gets on top of it. At the same time, he does cancel a base. Man, we're getting into a base trade scenario. Oh, never mind.
Almost, yeah. Oh, Naxin unaware of those banelings up towards the north, forcing the SCV pull. The Mutalists come back to deal with an army that has basically no anti-air. It's just these couple of Marines. Those aren't now, but both players. Oh, no!
Oh my god, the Baileys that connect with the Marines. Almost every single Marine goes down. The tank stands strong, but what's scary about this is that what shoots up, because the Mutants just have to come back home and they can clean this up.
They really do. And speaking of clean up, they're really cleaning out the mineral lines right now. A lot of students are starting to get bloody though.
Yeah, they are, but GG gets called and Cell takes game number 2.
Ay. Another game of just sheer chaos. This is what I love about the Taiwanese region light.
Mate, things were on fire all over the place. It was good.
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. Honestly, Naxin, he fought well there. Unfortunately, he wasn't ready defensively at home when it came to that counterattack, essentially. And it took him a long time to really hit across the map. It was Cell who, pulled the trigger first, right? He was the first one in all the bases, and it took Naxin a long time to really push into the natural, and because of that, there were banelings already ready for him.
Yeah, he was definitely banking a lot on the hopes anyway that Cell would return with all his mutas. Maybe pull a little bit of a control mistake and just straight up lose those mutas. But in the end, Cell was the player with no fear. He recognized the situation a lot quicker than Naxin did. And he committed a lot quicker. I think that's a pattern we're seeing here with our 1 Zerg and 2 Terran players so far.
Yes, it is. And I'm excited because for the first time in the DreamHack Fall qualifiers, because this is the first day, we have our ace match, mate.
That we do, the tiebreaker. And what better map to have that on than Oxide? LE.
Exactly. Like, in an ideal world, for me anyway, both these players are able to move on and qualify, but unfortunately, only one for today between these two will. The winner of this will move on to that qualifying match, that best of 5 that we were talking about earlier.
And it's still very much up in the air who their opponent's going to be. Again, no heavy favorites here in the upper side of the bracket, but this is at least a favorite map, question mark? I actually don't have the data on that. As we spawn into Oxide LE, we're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the red Zerg player coming down from the land of Taiwan. He is going to be representing himself and also apparently Africa TV Taiwan and Clan Bear Me, question mark? So to get back on the confirmation of that, he is Cell.
I feel like you just keep adding things on at the end. Like, Africa Freaks Taiwan, Bear Me, DPG.
Africa TV Taiwan, not Africa Freaks. I just look. Look, man, God. I'm getting it all from Wikipedia.
Meanwhile, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, representing Clan Rush, is the other Taiwanese Terran. One Terran has already fallen. Will there be a second? We'll find out. This is it. This is the ace match. It is Naxin.
This is where I find out Cell is actually editing his page on the fly. It's like, oh, before the next intro, I must. No. The game already started.
Oh god, oh god. But if I recall, I'm pretty sure that the Taiwan division of Africa Freaks, or sorry, Africa TV, I think they do run their own events as well, maybe. So it would make sense if they sponsored Cell. Maybe.
Yeah, I know Haas used to be part of that a long time ago. Now it's apparently just Cell remaining.
But yeah, they even sponsored a couple of events of the Blazing series, which is like the Taiwan Hong Kong event that they would run. Used to be a monthly event. I don't know if it's still going on. I think it may be. I'm not too sure. But yeah,
I believe. I don't know if it's still monthly, but yeah, it's definitely still going on. Mio Micah is very much enjoying competing in that.
Definitely. And we actually have a very different opener here. Once again, this is a variant, I should say. Once again, Naxin didn't go for a Reaper, but he did go for an SCV Scout.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a lot safer here. So he confirms, I don't need a safety marine just yet. I can definitely get away with grabbing my refinery. Will we see something similar to game number 1 though? He cancels the 5th and 6th marine.
Yeah, and is he? It'd be an awkward swap, but he is going for the swap regardless. Okay, so this is looking like game number 1. Again, not as greedy as game number 1, but is a variant here, so he should be pumping out plenty of Hellions. Again, if it is like game number 1, eventually we should see an armory as well and a Hellbat push.
I swear for a second I thought it was going Widow Mines instead.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, I'll be honest.
Yeah, if the armory as well, there's no easy way for Cell to get vision right now, so...
Yeah.
Mayhaps.
What I will say is that there is an Overlord outside the natural and the main, and he could pretty easily dip in just to see what the opener has been here. Always thinking about it, he does have his slow link, but there are Marines to deny the Scout.
That there are, but having this many Marines already, honestly, a little bit of a tell.
That it is.
So Naxin should have an inkling on what's to come, or Cell rather should have an inkling of what's to come.
There we go.
Unfortunately, just one too many Marines in there.
Ooh, and this is a little bit different. So, he's going across the map with his Marines and his Hellions as well. They were spotted by the Overlord. At the same time, there's a Liberator behind this.
Yeah, not a Banshee this time. Which definitely saves him quite a bit of gas, but there's also no armory.
True, very true. So Naxin switching things up here in the A-Smash. The drop was spotted as well. He didn't even get an Overlord, so this drop honestly shouldn't deal too much damage. Like, yeah, there are Lings here to chase him away. Oh, see how good the macro is. Does lose a Marine.
He's able to hot pick up out of that. Do you think maybe he's gonna use the Marines to guard the Liberator?
I guess.
Or Liberators. He's getting a second.
he is getting a second. Interesting. I mean, he has a lot of Hellions as well. Sim is on the way. Unfortunately, it did take a while, but you know, it is on the way. It is being produced, and here we go. Now he's gonna push this everything, I guess, at the 3rd, but there are Queens here. Bailings are even being morphed in.
What's really confusing me is that this looks like a Hellbat build, even if it is a bit of an awkward timing, but again, there's no armory out.
Yeah. Like, imagine this with Hellbats, right?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Oh my god, oh my god.
I'm definitely very confused, but I'm sure Cell is too, as Naxin gets more and more drone kills.
That he
being
does.
As annoying as he possibly can.
Yeah, this first Liberator just paying for itself easily by denying all the mining time. Didn't just get 3 drones, but also got a bunch of larvae as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't force his way into the 3rd base. Thankfully, he didn't overcommit, so he was able to keep the majority of his army alive. But again, I have to wonder how that would have looked if it was more of a Hellbat push. But oh, he actually dropped some Hellions into the main. What?
And they're chasing down some drones. Sees a position on top of that ramp. But even better, hot pick up and get right on out of there.
He does.
As we get to the next phase of the game, Light, which is going to be Biomine from the side of Naxin versus Cell's Muddling Bane.
Yeah, which I don't oppose. You know, it is a lot more standard, right? You know, Biomine against Lingbane Muta. And the Spire is only just now starting. You know, we still don't have a 4th hatchery. We should have one soon, since Cell is oversaturated on 3 bases. So he should be slowly getting that up and running. So we're getting into a more standard mid game, I should say.
Definitely, it's just the way we got here is so out of left field.
It's a very roundabout way of getting here. Very true, very true.
But we got here with barely any crashes.
That we did. Meanwhile, we do have a drop, and it has gone unscattered. There weren't any overlords here in position to see this drop coming towards the bottom right hand side of the map, so we could see a cancel, could even see a kill. Up.
Come on, just get a cancel. We're unfortunately unable to make it out of there, and I suppose that is one of the major advantages of, one of the side effects of being that annoying around the main base and natural base, right? You draw the attention away. The overlords are going to be looking for medevac drops, and liberators coming from that direction instead of where you actually want to drop from. Speaking of dropping, pretty impressive Ling run by.
Yeah, the Ling run by did a surprising amount of damage, but we do have 2 multi-prong drops. Oh, there we go. The armory is finally done. We do eventually have those Hellbats. 4th base denied once again, and we'll see how good Cell can split up his forces.
That we shall. Naxin has already proven he can do that very, very well. Unfortunate timing to load up when there are that many mutas around. But also between the Ling Bane and the mutas here, it was going to be a tough decision either way. Meanwhile, Naxin is clearing up so many bases here. Almost every single Ling is taken out before the Banelings can even catch up. Baneling speed has not finished just yet, folks.
Oh my god, and you know what? The mutas, the Spire wasn't scattered. The missile darts were not ready, so the mutas once again are wreaking havoc in the main base. What's important though is that this dropper here on the left-hand side, I was focusing on the mutas, but they actually got a kill on that 4th base. Like there's a death counter of a hatchery on the unit source tab.
Wow, that's a lot of wasted resources there from the side of Cell. Meanwhile, he loses 18 SCVs versus Naxin's 9. What is that? 2 mules total? 2.5.
Yeah, so they both kind of go back and forth. Oh my god, but the mutas actually get caught by these Marines, so a couple of mutas do get picked off as well. I do think that Naxin is in a bit of... Oh my god, no, please, the mutas!
Yeah, they're winded, Light.
Oh god,
they want to take a break, but these Marines keep chasing them down!
Oh god, meanwhile here come the Lynx finally to clean up these Marines. But I honestly, I feel like Naxin came out on top there. Like, he got a kill, he got a bunch of worker kills, he traded fairly well, didn't lose anything too expensive. Sure, he lost 2 medevacs. I mean, that's pretty big, I guess, but I don't know what Naxin can accomplish with this. Oh god. I mean, Cell can accomplish with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Cell wanted to be super greedy there. He was getting his 4th base, and he was getting a 5th base on top of that. He wanted to grab that 6 if that drone just wasn't caught in the middle of the map. But if Cell's able to get away with that, I do not see Naxin turning this around. He has been able to contain Cell so well on about equal bases for the longest time, and now he's going for a bit of multi-prong!
Oh my god, almost surrounds those mutas. But yeah, exactly, as you were saying, like, what is killing Cell is how late this 4th base is. Finally, it's getting saturated, but you need a 4th base so much sooner, and now here comes Naxin. Naxin, 2-2 just finished up. Cell only just finished up 1-1.
Yeah, Baneling is so exposed, like, that Baneling is so exposed. Oh, and it does connect, but with nothing. Doesn't even get a single kill. That is the power of 2-2. Versus, what is this, 1-1? Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah, exactly. Only 1-1 here. We do have a lot of Ling Bane finishing up the mutas. They want to try and catch the army a little bit here, but Naxin is so beautifully spread out.
So very well spread out. He has more than enough army supply to spare here, and he is just inching closer and closer with his Widow Mines. He's saying, yo, Cell, why don't you come a little bit closer to my blinking red dots?
Yeah, come at me, bro, is what he's saying. And again, the Widow Mines, okay, some of them are being wasted on Overlord, so that's kind of best case scenario here for Cell, but he's going to be forced to fight.
that he is such a good choke point as well for the Terran player. Concussive shells helping out so much. No, I don't believe he even has concussive shells. Those banelings were just slowed off a creep. And that gave the Widowmines just enough time to connect. Some of these banelings are going to finish up.
Oh my god, we'll see if they do. Yeah, it looks like a couple of the banelings will just barely finish in time, but you know what? That also means that these Widowmines will also reset. Naxin keeping up that pressure, that base mate. It's at half health. Now he goes in with the banelings.
But they get targeted down so well. Those Zerglings just not quite in the right position to buffer for them. Naxin finally sees the other base towards the southeast. And either way, Cell's going to lose a base. The only question is how many.
Exactly. One base, it does go down. This third base here, it's so low, less than half HP. A couple of Widowmine shots were wasted. There is only one remaining here, but there aren't that many banelings, to be honest.
There really aren't. And a couple of them are starting to reset. Bit of an unfortunate connection there for Naxin, I suppose, but more and more reinforcements start to come in.
Oh my god.
The Marauders are starting to get into position. These banelings do connect, but with what? With Marauders!
Exactly. We do have a second wave of banelings, and they are going to be coming in, and I feel like these are the last banelings for Cell. Oh god.
Go, Naxin, if Widowmines get wasted when they... If Widowmines get wasted connecting with Overlords, banelings get wasted connecting with Marauders.
That they do. Behind this, Naxin does have a fourth base. There we go. Now he's floating it over. He is going to maintain and even get further ahead when it comes to the economy. 3-3 is started. +3 attack, actually almost halfway done as well. It looks like Naxin, he's backing off. And I feel like this is fair, right? Cell was able to survive long enough, but he lost the base. And at the end of the day, like, that's what matters.
Yeah, Naxin's starting to rotate around just in case Cell decided to get another base hit that location. But he's been doing a really good job of keeping his attention so far. For a second, it seemed like Cell had an idea of going across the map with his Mutalisk, but then Naxin coincidentally moved his army in position as well. So, yeah, Cell really has to take this seriously.
Definitely. Meanwhile, honestly, pretty good baneling connections there by Cell. He actually focused down the Widowmines of Naxin, so now he doesn't have any remaining here. It is only Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, but honestly, Naxin's splits are... I wish he was in the Intel Extreme Micro Challenge.
He'd be pretty good at it, to be honest. He'd be pretty damn good. Yeah. Oh god, he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough here to overwhelm Cell, but again, that base, mate, it's just getting more and more in that red. Cell is sneaking out a fourth base behind this. Naxin is actually unaware of that.
Yeah, hasn't been able to set his army down. A lot of his medevacs is starting to run out of energy, which definitely makes these stems hurt a lot more. But Cell fighting so far off a creep. Man. Such a good fight for Naxin, but there's still plenty of Mutalisk life.
I was about to say, mate, that was all the Ling Bane. That was go time then and there for Naxin, but he backs off because he was afraid. He was afraid there was a second wave of Banelings, but there weren't. That was the moment. Cell somehow buys himself some time. He kind of fooled himself. Oh my god, fooled himself a little bit. Ooh. Now he's going across the map with these Mutas, but oh my god. Oh.
How does that still connect?
A
millisecond too slow in the pull.
God, exactly. There we go. We see a scan. Naxin finally confirms, oh my god, I can't believe you snuck that base out. He is like diverting all of his attention over to it. Cell, he did make another wave of banelings, to be fair.
Yeah, but it's not an overwhelming amount, and they have a lot of distance to cover off creep. Again, one thing that Naxin has been doing very, very well that unfortunately Kevin Liu wasn't quite able to replicate was really keep the creep spread of Cell down. GG is called, and Naxin shows why he was slightly favored in this upper center bracket. Three very close games, one after the other, super active as well. Some of the most APM intensive styles you can get as a Zerg player, Lingbane Muta, and as a Terran player, Biomine. Oh man, I casted those games and I didn't even play those games, and honestly, I could feel my fingers cramp up a little.
That was intense, mate. That was intense. I mean, to be fair though, like Cell was up against the wall the entire time. He was like trying to push Naxin back. He was like, give me some room to breathe, and Naxin was having none of it. He never really went in for the kill. He was slow. He was methodical, but because of that, like, it was just like a slow death there for Cell. Like he was just stuck on 3 bases for so long compared to a 4 base Terran. He was always down in upgrades as well. He could barely survive, and eventually Naxin did break him.
Indeed, he did, but he had to go through he had to use a lot of force to do so. And with that, very unfortunate for Cell. I have to say, I'm very impressed with his decision-making so far in the tournament. Hope to see that again on Thursday, when he hopefully returns. But I guess today is just a day of TVZs for us, Light, as we are going into our first qualifying match of the evening. It's going to be Naxin versus Lemon.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're hungry for Protoss, wait until later in the tournament. Because the top Taiwanese Protosses in Haas, Nice, and Butterways, they're in the main event. They're already seeded in. Now here it's all about the Zergs and the Terrans.
Look, let us have this for now.
While we can.
Yep. Protoss players will be satiated this weekend and next week in the main event, but for now, Thorvald into us Terran players.
Exactly. Oh god.
Yeah, Terran players. I didn't notice it at first, but then I saw the overlay that Kuro created for us. In the main event, the players already seeded are 3 Protoss players and 1 Zerg player. In the close qualifiers, we have 3 Zerg players and 1 Protoss player already seeded. So, yeah. Let's try to get some Terran representation when we can, while we can.
Yeah, I'm showing that graphic on the stream right now. As you can see, it's all Protoss and all Zerg. It's one of those things where expect kind of underexpected a little bit, underperformed a little bit, and he really did struggle last season. So because of that, same with Naxin and Kevin Liu. So yeah, they just couldn't perform in the main event, and now they have a chance in the closed qualifier, but first they got to make it through the open qualifier, I should say.
That they do. Look, expect walked, so some of these other players like Mystery Man, like V-Stork, the players who I think are really only now starting to get the breakthrough, at least in the Taiwan, Hong Kong sort of region.
Yeah, exactly. For the longest time, it was just Expect, as the only notable Terran player in the region. So it's great to see Naxin performing well here, looking to represent his race. He just needs one more win here, one more series, but it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a longer one. It's the qualifying match.
Indeed, it is. We're getting ready for that best of 5. Players are going to need to win 3 maps if they want to not have to worry about coming back on Thursday. Focus only on practice and not reveal too many builds as well is a bit of another advantage of qualifying in day number 1.
Exactly. Oh boy, especially like when it comes to stylistic players, which I do think has a place here in this region. I do think that Naxin, he has especially because he won both games with that same opener, right? Like of skipping that Reaper. Like we see Gogo Joy watch that series. He's like, yo, 2-base Roach, let's go. Let's skip link speed, let's get a Roach Warren out, let's send it across the map. What is there going to be to defend?
I'm just gonna 12 pool.
Yeah, like what's going to be at home? Like Marines and then like a couple of Hellions. Like that's going to do nothing against Roaches. So like Naxin has to be careful with when he whips that out. Again, I imagine the other players in this region, a player like Lemon, would be aware of that build. But well, we'll see. I honestly don't recall how Lemon plays.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't recall this build either coming up from Naxin, so
true.
Could definitely be a very recent development. Lemon might not have had enough time to really formulate a plan against this style.
This is very true. This is very true indeed.